You saw this program, I assume.
Yes, I watched it live.
You mean at one point it was actually living? I thought it was DOA.
I watched it as it transpired.
All right. Well, the DOA was a little inside joke there, because the opening match on this past Wednesday's AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night was a coffin match, not a casket match, because that's trademarked. A coffin match with Brody King against Darby Allin. And obviously, Darby is not an undead zombie. Darby has a finish called the coffin drop because he launches himself backwards off the top rope like he's laying in a coffin and lands on the guy. So that means we have to have a coffin match. They had a match first, didn't they? Yes, that's right. They've actually had a match this time.
Yeah, I think they did.
Because usually these stipulations are the first match, but in this case, it's a rematch. And obviously, a coffin match is no disqualification. Lazy booking. But we didn't even get to start the coffin match actually legitimately, because Brody King makes his entrance, and they're so scared that all the normal people watching The Big Bang Theory will see what the fuck is this and change the channel, that Darby jump starts it from nowhere. As soon as Brody King gets in the ring, Darby is there, and he's beating the shit out of us with a skateboard with thumbtacks sticking in it.
And sticking out of it.
Well, sticking in it, sticking out of it. How do you get a thumbtack to stick out of the skateboard, by the way, anyway?
Perhaps they're glued to the skateboard. To the skateboard.
To the skateboard? To
the skateboard. The state should be here. No, perhaps they're glued to the skateboard.
Yeah, this guy should be boarded by the state. I'll go along with that. And Brody King gets juice within 30 seconds, and not just a little juice. He's gushing. And I'm thinking, can they possibly narrowcast their program to a smaller target audience? And I don't think that the key to keeping the viewers from The Big Bang Theory is by running people through a razor blade factory immediately afterwards. So then Brody King throws Darby into the crowd, but he comes back, and Brody is bleeding everywhere, all over people, fans slinging blood, and Darby gives Brody King a sunset flip powerbomb off the top buckle, and then pushes him out to the floor, and then goes out there, and Brody King responds by just running Darby Allin into the guardrail. And Darby is taking the bump where he'll just launch himself, flip upside down, and hit the railing full force with his entire body flying in the air. And they did this in numerous spots in the match. And Darby, what's your backup plan when you hit that railing and it goes into the fucking kid's face and their looks are harmed for life and they sue, and Tony Khan ends up washing their fucking dishes for the rest of his life? So both guys are just drenched in blood, but it was all Brody King's, I think, although the way that Darby was taking bumps out on the floor, he could have cut himself open on anything. And then, like I said, they were out in the crowd spurting blood, going to the break. And then during the break, apparently, they set up a table on the floor, because as soon as we were back from the break, I'm talking like within 3 seconds, Brody King does a splash off the top rope through the table because Darby moved, and straight to the fucking floor. And I'm surprised he didn't break both of his arms, because he had him down. And so it's 10 minutes into the show and we are full garbage. They're going through tables in a no DQ coffin match. Blood is everywhere. And then Darby gets in the ring and puts a table up in the ring, and the lights go out. And it takes forever, as usual, because whether it's the talent or whether it's the walkthrough, or they don't do it like the WWE does it, where you can lights off, lights on. Wow, how'd they do that? It's lights off. By the time the lights come back on again, the whole arena could be empty. Somebody could have picked everybody's pocket. And then Malachi Black and his little sidekick Buddy are at ringside. And to quote an old friend of mine, God, the House of Black are tiresome. So Darby looks at the heels standing on the floor. And he's in the ring, and he looks at the heels that are on the floor, and then he turns his back on them and runs the other way to the ropes to run back across the ring and dive out and try to dive out on them like they were stupid enough to stand there and wait for him. But when he hit the ropes, Julia Hart comes from under the ring and trips him, pulls his leg. And then both the heels on the floor just get in the ring and kick the shit out of Darby Allin in front of everybody. In front of the referee, in front of the fans. It's no disqualification. But when you're making it this literal, then why did they even start the fight? Why didn't all the heels just come down at the start of the match and kick the shit out of Darby and throw him in the coffin instead of waiting until their guy was a fucking almost bled out? And it's the wrong kind of heat. It's like when the 15 heels beat up The Undertaker at Royal Rumble 93 and put him in the coffin. It was horrible. People just sit there because it's totally not right in any way. But they kick the shit out of him, and they take forever, and then they lean a table up, and they put Darby on it, and Brody King cannonballs him through the table in the corner, and then everything grinds to a halt, and the people start chanting for Sting, and then Malachi Black points to the coffin, and their friend Buddy opens the coffin, and Sting is in the coffin with a bat where he's been hiding while three heels, unopposed, beat the shit out of his friend. He could have come out of the coffin with the bat and stopped them, but then that would have robbed everybody of the cool visual when they opened the coffin. So remind me not to be Sting's friend if I'm getting a shit kicked out of me by three people and he's got the opportunity to make a cool entrance. So then Sting beats up Buddy with the bat and then hits Brody King with the bat and then tosses his bat to Malachi Black. And Malachi Black stands there and holds the bat, looking at Sting, and then laughs and drops the bat and walks off. Now, meanwhile, there's still a match going on, but it hadn't been going on because everybody's laying out of it so that they can do this dramatic rendition of a fucking horror movie that they dreamed about when they last ate Taco Bell. So now Malachi Black walks off out of the ring, and Sting gets out of the ring to go after him, walks right past Brody King, his friend's opponent that's on the floor, and Sting and Malachi Black get face to face on the ramp. Julia Hart has completely disappeared. Buddy, I think, is gone. But now Darby comes back to life as soon as Sting leaves the ring and hits a dive on Brody King. But then Brody King picks Darby Allin up and body slams him on the steel stairs. But then Darby Allin punches and chokes Brody King with his chain that he wears around his neck and hangs him, and then lets go, and Brody King takes a bump off the apron, pirouette, kind of a nice little dead man bump, into the coffin. The lid closes. Boom. Did I describe that match fairly closely to what you saw, Brian?
Fairly closely. I mean, the only thing I'll say is that when it first started, I really hated it. And then I thought it was so gruesome. Then I started thinking, just like you said, how's the network going to stand for this? The opening match and the close-ups of Brody King's face were really gruesome. Yet the show would get even more gruesome now that I think about it.
Yes.
But then they got me. They kind of had a point in the match where they got me. They were hitting each other really hard. And I was into it, and then the lights went out, and they lost me. And they never got me back. And you know what? I think people like Malachi in the ring. They like his kicks. They like his style. I don't think too many people like this and want to see this. And he has, from what we last heard, 4 years left on his contract?
Oh, good God. I didn't even think about that.
They got to transition him and, if you want to keep these other guys, them away from this House of Black thing into something that fits with the rest of the wrestling show.
I don't think they're capable because apparently this Malachi Black, his long-awaited chance to do what he wanted to do in the wrestling business. And this stuff is what he wanted to do.
Did you see the Miro promo? Well, we're going to review the show, I'm sure.
Well, we ain't there yet. But this thing, at the end of it, I said, no wonder that there are no more wrestling fans left. There are smart marks, and a lot of them are in the locker room, but there are no wrestling fans left. People who just want to watch wrestling. People who don't want to fucking know every goddamn detail and what everybody's doing and what happened in the indie show on such and such day. Because you can't be a fan of this. It makes no sense. It's repetitive. It's stupid. It's fake. It's phony. It's silly. It's smart marks. And most of them apparently are in the locker rooms these days. But there's no wrestling fans left because of shit like this.